GTA 6 is going to be way bigger than most of us are expecting. What you're saying, everyone? I hope you're good. So in this video, we're going to break down some of the key indicators that point towards GTA 6 being an absolute behemoth, and not just in map size, but in scope, systems, and long-term scale. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. The natural evolution. So firstly, I just want to talk about Rockstar's natural evolution when they go from one game to the next. Because if you look at Rockstar's history, there's a very clear pattern. They don't just make sequels, they build on system, scale, and ambition every single time without fail. GTA 3 to Vice City wasn't just a new map, it was more atmosphere, more personality, and a lot more identity. And San Andreas didn't just get bigger, it added RPG systems, multiple cities, interiors, customization, and a level of scope that GTA had never really seen before. And then GTA 4 shifted Rockstar's priorities. The focus wasn't on raw size, it was on depth, physics, animation, weight, and NPC behaviour. All those things took a major step forward, and Liberty City felt reactive and grounded in a way that was completely new at the time. And Rockstar proved that deeper systems can make the world feel a lot bigger than the map suggests. And that's important because Rockstar have shown that they're willing to trade raw scale for depth, and knowing that deeper systems can make the world feel a lot bigger than it actually is. And then GTA 5 didn't just combine all that, it expanded in every direction. 3 protagonists, a bigger map, faster traversal, more activities, and deeper systems. But the biggest example of this evolution is Red Dead Redemption 2. And Rockstar didn't just make it bigger, they made it massive and went all in on the immersion, slower movement, deeper animations, NPC routines, realistic interactions, and a world that felt like it existed whether you were there or not. And that's the key point. Rockstar doesn't really regress, and they don't shrink down ambition. They stack systems on top of each other and then refine them over time. So when we talk about GTA 6 like it's going to be GTA 5 but bigger, that just completely ignores Rockstar's track record. And purely based on the natural evolution, GTA 6 was always going to be a major step forward, not just in map size, but in how the world works, feels, and reacts to the player. Gloriana. So next up, we've got the mentions of Gloriana, which looks like Rockstar's play on Georgia. And so far, we've seen it on a couple of number plates, and we've also got this screenshot that doesn't really line up with what we're currently looking at for Leonida. And it's quite interesting because Rockstar's usually very deliberate with stuff like this, especially when it comes to where the game's set. And the fact that Gloriana's been referenced at all immediately just raises that question. Is Leonida the only state in the game? And that's where the size conversation really changes. Up to now, most people are picturing GTA 6 as Vice City and the surrounding areas, maybe some countrysides, smaller towns, but all within one state. But if there is even a chance that there's a second state involved, that will change everything. And it means the map isn't just being expanded outwards, it means it's been expanded beyond what people are currently picturing. And even just with part of a second state would add a huge amount of physical space, more distance, more separation between locations, and more time spent traveling from one place to another. And that's real scale, not perceived scale, not systems, not density, just sheer raw size. And so when people say they're expecting GTA 6 to be massive, I think this is one area that still might be a bit underestimated, because if Gloriana does really represent a second playable state, then the overall map would automatically be bigger than what most people are currently imagining. And even if Gloriana is coming later down the line, it's still very interesting to think about. And that alone would just push GTA 6 into a different category of scale than anything else. The Rockstar's own wording. So then we've got Rockstar's wording, which I think is one of the most overlooked parts of this whole conversation. So when Rockstar described GTA 6 on the PlayStation Store listing, they didn't just call it bigger, they literally called it the biggest and most immersive evolution of the Grand Theft Auto series, and that wording really matters, because Rockstar are usually very careful with how they describe their games publicly. They don't throw around language like that lightly, especially not years out from release. And when they're using words like biggest, most immersive, and evolution, that's not just marketing, that's just setting expectations deliberately. And what's interesting is, it's not framed as pure scale. They didn't say the largest map or the most content. They chose words that hint towards the experience. So the word immersion, evolution, how the game's going to actually feel to play. And then also when the delay announcement dropped, they used the word sprawling to describe the world. And again, that's not accidental. And sprawling doesn't just mean large. It suggests something spread out, varied, and expansive in a way that isn't just dense chaos everywhere all at once. It definitely implies space, distance, different regions that feel distinct from one another. And Rockstar could have chosen safer language. They could have kept it a bit more vague, but instead, they've consistently leaned towards wording that suggests depth and scale, not just visually, but across the whole board. And when you combine that language and what we've actually seen in the trailers, the pacing, the animation work, the density, the way the world feels to be presented, it all starts to line up. And this doesn't feel like Rockstar's overselling something. It feels like they're carefully telling us what kind of game it's going to be without spelling it out directly. And they're not saying expect chaos all the time. They're saying expect something bigger, deeper, and more immersive than we've ever done before. And coming from a studio that usually understates rather than overstates, that's definitely worth paying attention to. Systems over surface area. So one thing I think is really important to separate when talking about GTA 6 is just scale versus sheer surface area. Because GTA 6 being bigger doesn't automatically mean it will be better if all you're doing is stretching the map with no other purpose. And I think Rockstar knows that better than anyone. What seems to be happening with GTA 6 is that shift towards the systems doing the heavy lifting, as well as raw size. I think we're getting a combination of both. So not only are we going to be asking how big is this map, we're going to be asking what's actually going on inside it, how much can we actually do? And from what we've seen so far, Rockstar looks focused on density, interaction and reactivity. The NPCs look to feel more aware from the trailers, crowds seem to behave more dynamically, and the world reacts. And I think this is going to be one of the things that Rockstar are really going to be able to cleverly hide the scripting. It's not about driving for 5 minutes through empty space, it's about what happens when you stop, what things you notice, and how often the world can surprise you without prompting. And this is something that Rockstar already learned with Red Dead 2. The map wasn't just large, it was layered. Systems overlapped, small mechanics combined to create moments that felt genuinely unscripted, even though they were all the result of design. And GTA 6 looks like it's taking that same idea and applying it at a much denser and more complex setting. More interiors, more background interactions, and more systems quietly running together at the same time. And that kind of scale doesn't always show up in a trailer as well. This is going to be huge. It just shows up when the world feels busy, unpredictable and alive, and when you're not really doing anything too dramatic. So when Rockstar talks about GTA 6 being bigger, I don't think they're just talking about square mileage. They're talking about how many systems are laid on top of each other, how often the world responds to the player, and how much depth exists beneath the surface. And that kind of scale tends to matter more than just sheer size. Long-term design and longevity. So another reason the shift towards that slower pace and deeper systems makes sense is that you're looking at GTA 6 is going to be clearly built to last. And it's not a game that's just going to be designed to launch for a week. It's going to be built to live for years. And obviously Rockstar's learned a lot from GTA Online, not just financially, but structurally. And they saw how players settle into the world over time, how routines form, and how familiar spaces matter, and how depth becomes more important than just sheer size and spectacle once the excitement, that initial excitement, wears off. And a faster game works well in short bursts, but a slower, more deliberate one will definitely age better. And when systems have weight and actions have consequences, and when the world reacts in subtle ways, players are more likely to stay engaged long term, not because they're constantly being pushed forward, but because there's always something new to notice. And this also gives Rockstar room to expand the game naturally. New content doesn't have to feel bolted on. It can slot into existing systems, locations and routines without breaking that immersion. And a world that's already grounded and layered is much easier to grow than one that's built purely around speed. And that's where I think GTA 6 is going to feel different. It feels like a foundation rather than a finished product, a place that's going to be designed to evolve rather than something you rush through and leave behind. And slowing things down isn't just a creative choice here, in my opinion, it's just a practical one. And it gives Rockstar more control over pacing, more flexibility over time, and more confidence that players will actually want to stay in this world for the long haul. And when you look at how long GTA 5 ended up lasting, it's hard to not see GTA 6 as Rockstar taking everything they've learned and building something that's meant to endure for even longer. So there we go. When you step back and look at everything, GTA 6 being bigger than we expect doesn't really come down to one single thing. It's not just about the map or the locations or the amount of content. It's the combination of Rockstar's design evolution, the systems they're prioritizing, the wording they've chosen, and the way the world's been presented. And it all points towards a game that's broader in scope, deeper in structure, and more demanding on your time and attention than any GTA before it. Not because it's trying to overwhelm you, but because it's just designed to be lived in rather than rushed through. And I think everyone's already expecting GTA 6 to be huge, but if Rockstar really does slow things down and lay a system on top of each other and let the world unfold naturally, I think a lot of players are underestimating just how fast this whole experience is going to be. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you do. I really appreciate the support. And let me know in the comments, what are you expecting from the sheer size and scale of this? And I'll see you for the next one.